Welcome to GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, aka the Going North Podcast, where authors from around the world help you realize that success is tangible. You'll leave with at least one new piece of inspiration or information to help you keep going north. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as the GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, is the Going North Podcast. And for those who know the backstory of this show, it was originally going to be called the Mr. Music and Reads Podcast, where yours truly would interview freaking independent artists and folks who write books, release review books that I like to read. And my goodness, today's guest, my man captures the essence of both of those. Let's go a little bit into a bit of his bio. Not only is he a part of the NSA, the National Speakers Association, no, not that NSA, y'all, the National Speakers Association, y'all, and a certified professional speaker with a CSP, this wonderful gentleman right here helps people unlock potential and amplify their talent. And he does it all with his unique blend of energy, expertise, and a musician's soul, y'all. That's right. And with 20 years of experience in award-winning talent and leadership development programs, this wonderful gentleman right here brings his unique approach to audiences across the globe, combining his skills as a world-class, you heard that right, folks, world-class speaker with his talents as a singer, songwriter, and musician. And he's the author of a super special, awesome book, The AL, Acoustic Leadership, Develop a Leadership Coach that Resonates. And he's the owner of Unlock and Amplify, and has built a reputation for a refreshing delivery that leaves audiences raving, and more importantly, with action items that they can immediately implement to produce change. So let's give it up for the one, the only, radiant, and legendary Rick Lozano. How you doing today, Rick?
Hello, Dom. I'm doing fantastic, and thank you so much. By the way, thank you not only for having me on the show, but thank you for having the show. I have been loving listening to the Going North podcast, and I am a big fan of people who put positive things into the world, and that's what you do, man. So thank you so very much, and I'm thrilled to be here today.
Oh, yeah, man. That's right. It's great to have you on, man, because my goodness, my man's bringing submit into the metaphorical land of bad breath with the stuff that you're doing, man. Like, you're like a giant mitt just in the land of the darn bad breath, making it a lot more refreshing, man. So, my goodness. And the thing is, like, with all bios, you know, they all probably can't fit everything that you do. So, mind filling in any cavities I may have missed about you, my man?
So you did a pretty good job, and that was, that makes me sound really, really good. I appreciate that. I've been doing, like you said, leadership and talent development for over 20 years. I spent most of the last decade working in tech. So I worked in the technology sector. And what's funny about that is prior to that, I spent about a decade working in banking. So I went from a suit and tie every day to a t-shirt and jeans every single day. And it was, I'm not going to lie, it was awesome. I didn't mind that. And, I had been working as well. I'd been moonlighting as a keynote speaker for a long time, just sort of speaking at conferences while I had my full-time job. And finally, it was just time. And I started my own practice, Unlock and Amplify, about 2 years ago. And that's what brings us here today. And I think you pretty much included everything. I live in San Antonio. I've got 2 cats and 2 kids. Why I said it in that order, I don't know exactly. I guess I like some more than the others. But here's what's fun. I get to do the work that I love, and I get to speak in front of people. I do a lot of workshops, keynote speeches, and of course I wrote the book, which we'll talk about later. But I had a leader years ago, and by the way, one of the reasons I wrote the book was because I'm a fan of leaders who just help people achieve things that they didn't know they could achieve. And a leader a while back helped that happen for me. And essentially the story was, he told me to bring my guitar to work. And one day when I started bringing that musical lens, everything changed. So I'll give you an example, because this has got to be included in the story here. Music to me is the source of inspiration and connection, and the world just makes sense when I look at it, through that lens. And I was, this was in Columbia, South Carolina, a couple of years ago. I had been doing a keynote presentation. And I was having a conversation with somebody who had seen me speak the year before, because I was a repeat keynote speaker there. And this person comes up to me after the show, if you will, and says, "Hey, tell me, how'd you get into this business, et cetera?" And I kind of told my story of how I became a keynote speaker. And he was half joking and he said, "Well, that's awesome. You do so much music in your presentations. You should write a song about that." I said, "You think so?" He says, "Yeah, you should call it How to Be Like Me." So, Dom, for you and for the Going North podcast. And by the way, this is a total joke. I don't take myself that seriously, but this is the step by step how to be a keynote speaker like me, if you will. So this is the true story. You ready for this? Here we go. All right. Graduate from college with a useless degree. Moved to California to set myself free. Grow your hair long and join a crappy band, and that's how you be like me. Moved to Colorado with a girl who is a clown. So she wasn't always a clown. She went to clown college. That doesn't make this any better. All right, we're going to skip that one. Break up because you're afraid to settle down. Move on back to Texas for a teaching degree, and that's how you be like me. Move back to Colorado for a woman that you met. Struggle for the bills because you don't have a job yet. Marry, then divorce. See how easy this can be? That's how you be like me. All right, so here's where it gets complicated. All right, here goes. Quit teaching, back to banking. Quit teaching, move to banking. Quit teaching, back to banking. I did that wrong. Let's do it again. Quit teaching, move to banking. Quit banking, back to teaching. Quit teaching, back to banking. Get a job teaching banking. Did you see how that worked? Stay a corporate trainer because you love what you do. Work for a tech co, try something new. No more suits and ties on my body, you will see. And that's how you be like me. Find the love of your life, marriage, kids, let's celebrate. She thinks this song is stupid, but I think it's really great. Become a singing speaker who teaches how to lead, and that's how you be like me. Oh yeah, that's how you be like me. We're all together now, that's how you be like me. How to be like me.
Woo! Yeah.
That's a total joke, but I find that when I'm trying to connect with people, everyone for some reason, music is a tool for engagement. I mean, that's why we listen to music that we do. It changes the way we feel about ourselves and the world. And I love to have fun with it. And that's a little example of what I do.
Man, that song is freaking great. So out of curiosity, like the whole clown college thing. Did one of your ex-wives really go to clown college?
So she was not the ex-wife, but she did. She was a theater major. And we moved together to Northern California, and she wound up doing some additional studying of theater. And one of the programs that they offered was clown school. So she studied clowning, and I'm not going to lie, it was freaking me out a little bit, but it was just the red floppy shoes in bed. It was. Okay, too much information. That's too much detail.
I guess she really lived out the class. She really took it seriously then. That's good.
There you go, right? She was a method actor. She had to immerse herself in her craft, and I don't blame her. And the funny thing, Don, the funny thing about that is we are still friends, and she is also a member of the National Speakers Association. So, something like 25 years later, we run into each other at these conferences, and we both do similar work, and it's crazy how it worked out that way.
Oh my gosh. Does she ever bring the clown shoes to the stage?
I can't say that she does, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think you can probably tell by my personality. I surround myself with interesting people sometimes. So
Hey, well, that's freaking amazing, man. And the thing is, like, heck, even with the method acting from the clown school, the clown college, all the way to you, following the advice from that good buddy of yours to really add that basically that new dimension to your repertoire of speaking, because like with leadership, it's a real popular topic and it can be somewhat boring for a lot of people, but you make it interesting with this new dynamic that you add into it. So really with that, like how important is it to really get into that zone of genius for those listening? Like what helps you really find it in addition to just getting that great advice from a great friend?
yeah, that's a great question. And one of the things that I've learned throughout my career and helping other people's expand their careers, we have so many expectations, not just on leaders, but on ourselves. And we very often do ourselves a disservice by trying to do everything. We try to do everything. And from a leadership perspective, we expect leaders to be great at all of these things, and it's not that simple. And to that end, that was one of the reasons why I started this journey. I was, at the time, it was about 4 or 5 years ago. I had a full-time job at the time, and I worked in leadership development. So that's what we did. We had leadership programs and leadership cohorts that we would help. And I realized we're asking a lot of these people, and we're not always making it easy. Because if you think about some of the typical approaches for leadership development, you have, these buckets of these, competencies. And then beyond that, there's all these specific behaviors that we expect leaders to do. And it can be overwhelming. It can be a lot of information. And then we rate people against all of these competencies. And we say, okay, well, you're not so good at business acumen. You got to really, really focus your efforts on business acumen. And while it's always great to grow and to develop, we're going to spend a lot of time trying to get better at the things we're not great at, instead of getting exponentially awesome at the things where we're already, like you said, that natural zone of genius. That's where the magic is. And I can attest to that. That's what happened in my career when that leader said, hey, Rick, this is a true story. It's a shortened version, but he said, Rick, you're great at 3 things. I said, really, that's it? He said, yes, 3 things. You're a great speaker. You're a great trainer. You are a great musician. Do those 3 things. And, obviously that's not everything that I do every single day, but my main buckets surround, that's where I spend most of my time. And that's, I think, one of the ways that we help leaders. We help focus them in their areas of greatness. And let's simplify the process to make it not only easy for leaders to do their best work, but for everyone else to do their best work as well. And one of the things that I think is, from a musical perspective, the idea for acoustic leadership, develop a leadership that resonates. That's the name of the book. And I just released it this summer, and I've had a fantastic reception to it. And I think one of the reasons is, to the point that you made, it's a different approach. It's got that musical lens, that emotional connection that you don't read or hear a lot in business books. So I think people are really open to it because it's a different way of telling things. And here's the fun story. The inspiration actually came from music. So I was working in leadership development, and I felt like it was noisy and it was crazy, and I wanted something simple. So one day I was watching some of those old reruns of MTV Unplugged. You remember MTV Unplugged? Yeah.
Nice.
And I was watching this acoustic performance, and it worked. And then I started binge watching them, and I watched, Eric Clapton and 10,000 Maniacs and Stevie Ray Vaughan. And I thought, why are these things so resonant? Why do they feel so good? And I realized there was 3 things that all of those performances on MTV Unplugged had: simplicity, authenticity, and opportunity. It was simple. It was scaled back. It was authentic. They couldn't hide behind giant light shows and super effects pedals and amplifiers. And it was an opportunity for them to do something different, and for the audience to feel something different and hear something different. And I realized, we're trying to help leaders. What if we focus on those 3 areas? Simplicity, authenticity, opportunity. Simplicity, let's make it simple for people to do their best work. Authenticity, let's build authentic, trusting, accountable relationships. And opportunity, let's focus as leaders, and by the way, leaders with or without a title or a formal authority position, let's give people the gift of opportunity. That's the best thing that we can do. And so those are the 3 buckets in the book, and we have a lot of fun diving into those 3 areas. And to me, it's just, I love it because it's a simple framework. Do these 3 things. Make it simple, keep it authentic, develop opportunities for other people. And there's more to it than that, but that's the essence of it.
Man, oh man, this is probably one of them episodes that's gonna be hotter than fish grease, y'all. I'm telling you, because it's been freaking amazing. Got a freaking song, got serenaded by the guest, and my man's been dropping the rule of 3, 2 out of 3 times with the simplicity, authenticity, and opportunity, and of course the advice from his mentor, like, hey, you're good at 3 things, Rick, and just making sure that you're a great trainer and you're a great songwriter, singer. And like, man, it's like all those great things, man. So like it's a trifecta of trifectas going on here.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been so much fun, and I'm loving spreading the word on acoustic leadership, and finding this platform for me has just really helped connect me back to the work that I'm doing. So I think I'm helping other people because I'm loving it just as much.
Oh yeah, man. And it's really great that you're loving it that much. And it's kind of funny how the circle of life works because it's kind of interesting that the girlfriend who went to clown school, she's now in the NSA with you. And
Yeah.
in a past life, when you were teaching again at the high school theater, high school theater at your old high school, apparently you got to teach alongside the same teachers that were teaching you.
Oh, I'm amazed, A, that you knew that. And yeah, so that was a wild story. So back before my official career started, I wound up, I don't know, 24, 25 years old, something like that. I wound up going back to my hometown. And I came from a family of teachers. And one thing I learned coming from a family of teachers is that I never wanted to be a teacher. Because I would hear the stories all the time. I'm like, oh man, teachers, that seems like such an important and yet challenging job. So at 24, 25 years old, I wound up back at home and a teaching opportunity came up. And at the time, I was in a transition point in my life. And then, yes, to your point, I wound up being a teacher at the same school that I went to. And so now all my colleagues, or rather, all my former teachers are now my colleagues. And it was crazy, Dom. It was like, hey, Rick, let's go to happy hour. Really? We're going to do that? This is. And then you find out, wow, some of these people were legitimately crazy. It was, it was so much fun. So much fun. But I quickly learned that, I love teaching, but it wasn't necessarily that aspect of it. It wasn't for me, but it was a great experience for sure.
Yeah, because when I heard that one of your past interviews, I'm like, I definitely got to ask you about this one, man, because that's too freaking rich right there. It's like you grow up and then you go to that school. It's like, hey, how's it going, guys? I'm back.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
working with you too. Oh, hey, I'm back.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, you used to get in trouble and talk to me about, drinking, and now you're inviting me to go do it with you. What's what's happening here? I'll tell you what though, you know what I did learn teachers are incredible, and the passion that they have for their work and their dedication and the hours they put in. I don't think a lot of people realize teaching is not just a 8 to 5 job or whatever you do. You're always doing it. And so shout out to all the teachers who helped me throughout my life and my career and everyone, because y'all are doing the right work. Thank you for the work that you do.
Yeah, man, amen to that. Probably should give them Purple Hearts for all the stuff they had to deal with. I'm sure the parents in the pandemic era realized it too. They're like, oh, so this is what they deal with. All right, no wonder I sent y'all
Oh
over
yeah.
there.
Uh-huh. I think it was a wake up call for a lot of people. Yeah, they're like, holy moly, yeah, this is not so simple. It's funny. And so I think about leadership and I think about organizations. And I'm going back to this because you mentioned the pandemic. So often these days, I hear people, the pandemic changed everything. And in so many ways it did. Obviously, we had to deal with stuff that in our lifetimes we've never had to deal with before. I hear some people say, oh yeah, this is the organizational aspect of this, the company, the business, COVID changed everything. And yes, it did. But here's the thing. What it really did was it exacerbated a conversation that was already happening. COVID didn't start this revolution, if you will. It just sort of pushed it into the forefront. So right now you're hearing, for example, a whole lot of talk. People are calling it the Great Resignation. And I think people are reevaluating their relationships with work. But it wasn't just COVID that did that. Even prior to COVID, I remember one study, Indeed.com. Indeed.com is a recruiting company, and pre-COVID, they did a study, and what they found in their participants in their survey was that 71% of the people in that survey said they were either actively looking for another job or completely open to it should it show up. So people were already looking at work differently. And I think that's important because, again, we are reevaluating how we do our work, where we do our work, why we do our work. And and some of the themes that we talk about in the book, for example, are where are we spending our time? Our time is our most precious commodity next to our health and our family. And we find over and over that people are spending, a gazillion hours working these jobs that maybe they don't feel that they're appreciated for. We talked about teachers, right? They're working their butts off. And do they get the value and the credit that they deserve? And then suddenly COVID, again, it pushed things into the forefront because suddenly people said, wait a minute, I can do my job working from home. Why do I spend an hour in traffic every morning and every afternoon. And so all of those things are happening right now, but it's been happening for a while. And one of the angles that we take on it from a leadership perspective is from the simplicity part, where are we spending our time? What work are we doing? And is it the right work? To the
Mm.
conversation that we had earlier, are we spending all of our time trying to fix the things that we're not great at? Or would we better be using our time by escalating or elevating the things where we're already outstanding? And in my opinion, that's where the magic happens. Focusing on those areas where we are just naturally wonderful. We're going to do our best work, and we're going to inspire others by helping them realize that's where it's at. That's where the magic happens.
Oh yeah, that's right. Definitely could say that again. Indeed, it's so freaking true. Cause yeah, a lot of folks with that whole Great Resignation thing, it's like, man, work. Do I have to go back there? Like, really? And of course, online memes where the classic Zoom, where they're having the Zoom meetings, and
Yeah.
then the person is actually on the beach somewhere, totally
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, yeah. There's one thing about this too, I think is important to point out. Every now and then I'll have this conversation and I'll hear people say, oh, well, it's because people are lazy. And I think that's an oversimplistic explanation. People aren't necessarily lazy. People are just realizing, wait a minute, I've got options. If I'm working in the service industry, which is a lot of work, it's a hard job. I told you earlier, I'd been a waiter earlier in my career. It's a lot of work. And when people realize, wait a minute, I'm spending all of this time and energy, I'm not making a ton of money. Is this worth it? Do I want to go back to that life, or do I want to sit and reevaluate my options and figure out where my time is better spent? And I think a lot of people are doing that right now. And I think we, as influencers of people, as leaders, one of the things that we can best help people do is figure out where that work is, where they should be spending their time, and focus all their energy around those things.
Yeah, man. That's right. My man's dropping heat today, y'all. I'm telling you. That's right. Today, man's dropping the heat, baby. I'm telling you. It's like meteors out of the sky with this one, man. I'm telling you. That's right, Dick. It's so darn true. Like, it's really, and I love the fact you said oversimplistic, because it's like there's simplicity and there's just folks trying to oversimplify things. It's like, hey, it's like, yeah, there's people out there that are lazy, but it's not the majority. Like, there's people
Yeah,
out there is like,
yeah,
really? Like, the whole waiter thing, it's like your whole income is based on how many tips you get. So that's the
yeah,
thing. Because what, $3, maybe four? They get below minimum wage,
yeah,
and the tips are really what helps you to really get over the edge. And of course, some other jobs out there too, and folks just wanting to get higher wages. But the thing is like, if inflation keeps going the way it is, then it won't even matter anyway. So they're like, man, there's got to be better options out there, and folks are finding their options, and you're able to really find yours where you're at now. So with
yeah.
this whole pandemic, with this extra time that it really gave you, because actually you started this your business actually right before the pandemic started.
Great timing, I tell you. Yeah, indeed. Indeed, I did. One of the things that I learned, well, and to your point, at that point in my career, my entire focus was continuing work as a keynote speaker. So I
Mm,
had been doing training and workshops and virtual training. I've been doing that stuff forever, and I love it. But at that point in time, keynote speaking was my next big thing, because that's where I wanted to spend all my time. And to your point, the pandemic came and it killed it. And everyone I know in the National Speakers Association, same deal. Some people were just completely devastated. And what we all learned was that, hey, we've got to be nimble. We've got to be quick
mhm.
to reevaluate. And I think oh man, that's something that I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for. People are always saying, oh, well, change is hard and people hate change. And you know what? They do to a certain degree. But I argue that not all change is bad. If you and I, for example, changed our health in a positive way, or our bank account in an upward way, we would love that change. I think part of the challenge is, the other part is, I think we're better at it than we give ourselves credit for. We've been doing it our whole lives. You think about growing up, elementary school through secondary school, we had a different teacher every year. We changed environments every year. People have the capacity for change. One of the challenges that I see with this is, and I saw this especially in the tech world. In the tech world, as you can imagine, things change every single day. And people are coming into work and they're building these wonderful tools and softwares and new cloud computing, devices and all of these things. But as soon as they do it, it's already outdated. It's already obsolete. And I think it's really important for us to remember that one thing we can help people with, because things are moving so fast, because change occurs so rapidly, is let's focus on the right amount of work. Rather than having people, and I use this phrase in the book, I think it's important for us as leaders to help people build foundations, not pyramids. Because if we spend all of our time and energy, we can build a pyramid and people want to do great work. They will show up, and with an inspiring leader who helps them feel great about their work, they will break their backs and they'll get blistered fingers, stone by stone, building this pyramid. But the problem with change comes when they say, oh, you know what? Yeah, we're not doing that anymore. And people go, wait a minute, I busted my butt. I put in all this time and energy and effort. I don't think people mind change. I think they hate the fact that all their work is now gone. They did all of this work for what? So my perspective is, let's focus on the minimum effective dose. Let's help people build really solid foundations and do the right amount of work. Now, in saying that, I'm not saying that we make, poor products or, shoddy development. No, but I think that we need to realize, hey, what is good enough? And let's focus on making sure that people feel engaged because they know that their work, even if things do change, their work matters. And now that foundation, we can build something else on it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You could definitely say that again. It's like really just finding out what work you do best and then just keep doing the best of that work and always improving on it. Like always
Yeah.
improving on what you're good at as opposed
Yeah.
to, hey, this is where we suck. Let's work on improving that. It's like, if it's not a game over situation, if you don't, then like don't even focus on it. Just focus on what you're good at and then making sure it's the best that you can get it.
It's so funny too, because I think back, I was thinking about school, right? I was that kid, dumb. I was the class clown. I was the guy who would never shut up. And it was funny because a while ago, my parents moved, and my mom found an old box full of my stuff. And so she gave me this box, and there were old pictures and stuff like this. And I kid you not, I found, I think it was my third grade report card and my fifth grade report card. And right there under the behavior section, it said, Rick loves to talk. He needs to stop talking. And I thought, this is what I was told as a kid. And Dom, that's how I make a living now. What I didn't need was, I didn't need somebody to say, hey, that's bad. What I needed was somebody to say, hey, here's how to do it more effectively. Rather than trying to fix me, let's focus me. Here's when you can do it most effectively. Here's when your talking will really make the best, difference in the world. And I think as leaders, that's what we do. We help focus people, not try to fix people. And I still talk a lot.
Oh yeah, probably one of the best feelings in the world indeed. That's right. Don't go out trying to fix people. Just help them to focus. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about indeed. That's right. So they can have that laser hit the sidewalk, folks. That's right. Metaphorically speaking. Just don't put it near any ants though, because the colony's gonna come back and be mad at you.
That's indeed true. Yep. Yep.
So, since this is far from your first rodeo, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often when you're on these podcasts?
I think one of the questions that I think is always important for all of us to ask is, why do you do the work that you do? And it's really funny because I do love to talk dumb, and I do like being on stage in front of people. It's also one of those things where I also hate promoting myself. I hate, just like I have this, for example, social media. I hate posting on social media. I hate because it feels just, oh, it's about me. It's about me. Look at me. Look at me. And people find it odd because even though, yes, I do like to be on stage, et cetera, I can't stand that aspect of it. And so I've got to find a way to come to terms with it. And when it comes to what's my why and why I do the work I do, it's because I love helping people. It's always been about that. And 20 years in talent development, every single day I got to see people get better. I got to help people get better. And I won't claim to be, the expert knowledge, no, the brightest mind in the world when it comes to talent development, but I was good at what I did, and that made all the difference. And so just being able to help people and to inspire people, those are the gifts that were given to me, and that's what I want to give back to the world. And I'm glad, by the way, I had an opportunity to do so today on the Going North podcast.
Yeah, man, it's good stuff indeed, and giving back indeed. So, my goodness, and if I'm not mistaken, you actually taught yourself how to play the piano too, right?
I did. I sat down one day and just taught myself how to play the piano, taught myself how to play guitar. And, music was always a part of my life, but it was never, I never wanted it to be my life. I remember, in my mid-20s, I would be working in bars, playing in bands until 2 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday night. And it was just like, I love music, but this isn't what I want to do. And it was just, I feel so fortunate now that I'm able to do work that I do and include music in it without, I never wanted to live the musician's lifestyle. I want stability in my life. I want to continue to stay married, and to me, those things weren't necessarily going to happen if I focused all my energies on music. So I'm glad to be where I'm at right now.
Oh yeah, I could definitely say that again. Heck, reminds me of one of our past guests, Jeff Godhealth, where he too was a person who wanted to be a musician, or at least like the musician's lifestyle a bit, at least from the playing aspect. But the thing is, like, he went over to the speaking space where, just like yourself, it's like, oh, wow, I get to do these gigs in front of thousands of people that
Yeah.
rock stars would love and almost die to try to get on. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like a happy exchange. It's like, oh,
Oh
I
yeah.
don't have to be with the band the whole time and actually play like a whole set. Like, I can actually just get up and speak and talk and do what I got in trouble for as a kid, which actually helps people.
Yes, and it's wild. I make more money, speaking and then bringing my guitar to work than I ever made as a musician. And it's so fun for me because that's just the way it was supposed to work for me. And, you mentioned earlier the zone of genius. That's just where I'm naturally good. That's what I naturally do. And, I showed you an example of one of those silly songs earlier, and those things are just easy for me to do. It's easy for me to create that work. And it's also so much fun because when I do it, I feel completely, I don't know, just enthralled with the work that I do. And I think that translates to my audience because they go, hey, this guy's having a ton of fun and he's not worried about, looking good, or he's just, keeping it real, trying to have fun and help other people. And I think that goes really, that goes really far. And it makes me feel great too. Oh, and by the way, I got one more song for you if you want it, but I'm gonna let you choose which one you want. Okay. So I've got either. Oh, and by the way, this is what's funny. I'm a real quote unquote real musician. I've got music on Spotify. I've self-produced 6 different albums of original work and stuff like that. But nobody wants to hear that in a keynote presentation. So most of the work that I do is either using musical examples or some of these little parody songs that I do, right? So I've got 2 choices for you, and we're doing this live. So either the performance review song or the PowerPoint song. Which one would you like to hear today?
Oh wow, let's go with the PowerPoint song.
All right. Okay, so the PowerPoint song. This is one of my favorite songs, actually. I love this one. One of the things, we talked about earlier is like doing the right work and where are we asking people to spend their time and energy? And I wrote the PowerPoint song, of course, as a joke, but I also realized that it's an example of where we find ourselves spending a whole lot of time and energy, but not necessarily worth the return. And I remember years ago, are you familiar with the term the walking deck? It was
The Walking
not the
Dead.
Walking Dead, but the walking deck, right? So we would be required to, okay, well, bring your PowerPoint deck to this meeting and then update it after that meeting and take it to the next meeting and update it after that meeting and take it to the next meeting. And it was we had senior vice presidents spending all their time updating their PowerPoint. And I was like, this is not what you get paid to do. And then the worst part about it, or the most challenging part about it for me was it usually wasn't very good either. So I wrote a song. This is how not to do a PowerPoint. Okay. And again, total joke, no disrespect meant for anybody, but oh, this is fun. I was and again, this is one of those songs that just like totally popped out, right? I was thinking about Johnny Cash. So this is a song I imagine that Johnny Cash might have written if he was stuck in a 6x6 cubicle at work he opened up his inbox, and there it was, the walking deck. Bullet after bullet after bullet on the slide. A little tiny text. Tiny text. A bar graph and a table, and let me take a guess. A Venn diagram is next. It's always next. Your animation's got things flying all over the screen. Did you have to paint the background that awful neon green? Clutter and mayhem, quite the visual ride. Next time, think outside the slide. Oh yeah. Verse 2. The audience is sleeping and they're starting to tune out. Is that really what you want? But you only have yourself to blame. I mean, what did you expect? With that Comic Sans font. That's not the right font. Our dependency on visuals is really quite absurd, and it isn't really helpful when you're reading every word. You worked for hours and for hours to make that deck complete. You did, I saw you. But when it showed up in my inbox, hashtag delete. That went down to Georgia. The PowerPoint song.
Give him a record deal, y'all. That's right. 365 deal, baby. That's right.
Thank you. That is so much fun. I appreciate it. Hey, thank you for indulging me and having me on this show. And hopefully we put something positive into somebody else's life today. And, you know, to me, again, that's what it's all about. And thank you. Thank you for doing the work that you do. I love going through all the episodes of Going North podcast. And man, you've got such a variety of people who are all helping the world in different ways. It's outstanding. So thank you.
My pleasure, dude. And thanks to the work you do, my man. Like, dude, like this is freaking awesome, man. Well, two more questions that will let you escape, man. And one of them's a question you probably haven't even heard yet, since these episodes haven't even gotten out yet at the time of this recording. So if your book Acoustic Leadership was a food item since it's mind food, what food item would it be and why?
Pizza, because most everyone loves pizza. Pizza. And what's also great is, you know, pizza, people get what they want out of it. They can customize it, they can tailor it. And I hope that the book has a little something for everybody. So pizza, that's a great question. I never thought of that. Thank you.
Been loving this question. All right. Freaking love it indeed. My goodness. Well, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time you're in 2021 with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Follow your gut sooner. Follow your gut sooner. I think most of us have a good, gut instinct about where we should be spending our time. And for me, and for so many people, it was a matter of, oh, well, I'm not this, or I'm not that, and I can't do this. And it was funny, Dom, even when I was writing the book, I found myself saying, oh yeah, well, I'm writing a book, but I'm not an author. And it was always, it seems like so many of us have this but, if you will. We're this, but we're not this. We're not enough. We're not whatever. And to me, that would be the advice I give to myself is listen to your heart, listen to your gut. You are enough. You are worthwhile. You have talents. You should focus your energy and your attention there, and you're good enough. Go with it. There's magic when you, as I like to say, when you develop a rhythm and roll with it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Follow your gut and your heart, y'all. Follow your hut, y'all. That's right. That's right. Your heart, gut, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. And follow it sooner. Oh, man. Life if we would follow things a lot sooner.
Oh yeah. Yep. And by the way, that goes for bad decisions as well. You know when it's a bad decision, and get yourself out rather than or sooner rather than later. I was talking to somebody about this. Matter of fact, a friend of mine is in a career transition, and I was talking to her and I said, you know what? Most people never hate leaving too soon when they're going to a new job. Most people regret staying around too long. So when you find yourself in that place where, hey, things just aren't working, life's not feeling good, make a different choice, make a different decision, and do it sooner rather than later. And you can always change your mind. So follow that gut.
Yeah, you can say that again. It's like, oh, darn, I've been here for too long, haven't I? Crap.
Oh yeah.
Oh, darn, gray hair showing up. Let me get out of here.
Yep.
uh, it doesn't always work out that way, but hey, it's all good. It's all good. Well, this has been freaking amazing. It's been freaking amazing. Like, if y'all don't get this guy on your show, hire him to speak at your company to train yo folks, you are missing out, y'all. You are missing out because he's going to keep them awake, y'all. I'm telling you, folks saying stay woke. Well, don't worry. My man Rick will keep yo folks woke, y'all.
I can do that much. Yes.
And he won't bring a 95 PowerPoint slide deck either.
Or at least I'll try to make it more pictures than text. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be slides with purpose, actual purpose that you can actually see and read and understand.
Indeed.
So for the folks who want to do just that and buy copies of your book, heck, even check out some of your albums on Spotify and all the other good stuff, what's the best way for folks to keep up with the Radiant Rick?
Yeah, to start with, ricklozano.com. That's RICKLOZANO. And you could search for the book on Amazon. It's called Acoustic Leadership, or just go to my website. And yeah, I'm available on Spotify and Amazon Music and all those places if you want to hear the real music work. But yeah, and feel free to reach out to me. I'm one of those people who is available. If you want to talk, hey, shoot me an email. I'd love to help you or your organization. So the email line is open.
Woohoo! Well, there you have it, folks. The email line is open. Head over to ricklozano.com. Buy some copies of Acoustic Leadership. Heck, maybe even buy a guitar with the book and then take a selfie with it and send it to Rick so I can post it up and be like, hey, I'm playing guitar now because of Rick. Like, I heard the PowerPoint song and I'm like, man, forget PowerPoint. I'm playing the guitar now. That's right, folks. Check it out like a library book. Heck, even share with the penguin, too. Maybe if you get the penguin to take a selfie with Acoustic Leadership and a guitar, you'll get extra brownie points from Rick. So any parting words before we close up shop, my man?
No, just thank you. Thank you. And thank you for everybody who's listening to this. I imagine your listeners are also people who want to put something positive in the world. Hey, that's the best thing that we could do as human beings. Let's put something positive in the world and keep up the good work. So thank you.
How's it going, my friend? I'm so glad you made it to the end. That shows that you are an uncommon finisher, and I am so grateful for you sharing your ears, your attention, and your time to this wonderful podcast to do something that'll take yourself to the next level. And for everybody else involved in this wonderful program, share it with at least 3 people in your network so that way more folks can not only catch the fire that is on this podcast, but can also be inspired to be their best. Advance others to advance yourself.